Is the 40-year experiment finally over? For more than 4 decades, our bodies have been treated like laboratory samples. And these highly profitable food companies have been just taking advantage of us. And the results have been catastrophic. But right now, the standards are finally changing. To my surprise, RFK Jr. has actually proposed the new food pyramid. Like, he's following through on what he said he was going to do. And it is sending shockwaves through the offices of big food. Like, they're not liking it. Now, these companies have a multi-billion-dollar reason to make sure that the old guidelines stay in place. So, what I want to talk about today is those mechanisms that they were using to turn our biology against us, why it took 40 years to see a shift like this, and if this new plan is finally our way out of the stupid trap these companies set for us so long ago. I can't even stop smiling. I'm so happy about this. Please subscribe. Obviously, we remember the food pyramid. This thing has kept us in a bad place for so many years. I've learned so much in researching to try to make this video. I'm going to try to keep what I learned short. Back when Louise Light, who was she was the one working on the food pyramid, she originally wanted to propose that it would be reasonable for people to eat 2 to 3 servings of grains. And that was the outside amount. So she was saying that's the max that we should eat. And the lobbyists came in. And by the way, the first time I heard the term lobbyist, I was Mark Hyman's book, when I learned that there are actually people who lobby to the government to get us to eat things that are not healthy for us. So when I say the lobbyists moving forward, I want you to understand that's what I'm talking about. People whose job it is to make sure that our food isn't, yeah, okay. They lobbied to be able to increase the amount from the 2 to 3 that she thought was reasonable to 6 to 11 servings per day. Now, when they tried to push this idea, she warned that this would lead to an epidemic of obesity and diabetes. Honest word, this was 40 years ago. Where are we now? Living the epidemic of diabetes and obesity. I was obese. It makes me really angry to know that this lady tried to save us from that 40 years ago. So the USDA has a dual mandate, apparently, which I don't know a lot about the American or even the Canadian food, and like that's not my thing. But apparently the problem that comes out of them having this dual mandate is that there's a conflict of interest. So the USDA is legally tasked with selling American agricultural products while simultaneously providing health advice. So it's doing both sides. It's selling you certain foods and then giving you health advice about what to eat. That obviously makes no sense. And I think you don't have to be a PhD to understand that doesn't make sense. If the way that I make money is determined by the way you think you should eat, and I can tell you what to eat, why wouldn't I tell you to eat the things that make me money? It's so simple. It blows my mind that this is allowed to be the case, but apparently this is the case. So if we think about what happened with me, trying to be good and eating the right things, I did what I was explained to do. I ate the healthy grains. So whenever I was doing good, I went for the whole grain with all the special grains in it, like the most expensive bread. And it's more expensive. Anyway, the better quality bread that's got all the ancient grains and stuff in it. I would eat couscous instead of rice because that's better for you, right? I did all the things that I was supposed to do. And the end result was not that I lost weight, because I didn't. I was actually 80 pounds overweight-ish when I finally did help myself with keto, but we'll get to that later. I was 80 pounds overweight. And I was in pain in every joint in my body, following the good directions of every time I tried to eat healthy, increasing those healthy grains, making sure I got in enough, making sure I had bread at my, doing the right things, right? I didn't fail at following the guidelines, Wellness Warrior. The guidelines successfully drove me towards joint pain and overconsumption. Like, I was overeating. And the guidelines helped me to do that because I was told 6 to 8 servings. And I'm trying to be healthy, so I tried to get in those 6 to 8 servings. The 1992 guidelines weren't just a failure of nutrition. They were the perfect cover for a much more dangerous science that was happening in the background. They had scientists who would study our reaction to eating certain things, and they understood the biological impact it was having on our bodies, especially our brains. These foods were the perfect cover for that dangerous science. And to understand why I couldn't just willpower my way out of the pain, we have to look at the actual anatomy of what was happening, right? Like, how were they getting me? Those scientists that they hired engineered something called hyperpalatable food. So, how do we get to hyperpalatable food? In my field, one of the things that I always try to get people to see is that words matter. Wording. The way that you say something can be the difference between somebody accepting it at face value and somebody railing against and like feeling insulted. And marketers understand this really well. So back in 1977, there was that whole thing that happened with the heart attack of the president, and they wanted to reduce the amount of fat that people ate because they blamed saturated fat. And there was a report, the McGovern report, that was created, and they wanted to encourage people to eat less meat. And the wording of that report was changed. And rather than just say reduce consumption of meat, it was changed to choose lean cuts of meat, which will reduce saturated fat intake. And the interesting thing by changing it from eat less meat to choose lean cuts of meat was that we opened this door for this amazing thing called fat-free products, because now people were made aware that we want the lean cuts, not the fatty cuts. And we put in people's minds, fat is bad. That marketing has allowed companies to take fat out of products and replace it with sugar, because you need to put something in there to make this stuff taste good. You take out the fat, which helps us to love it. And now move forward with these scientists that they have working really hard in the background. And Mr. Howard Moskowitz came in and realized that the right combination of salt, sugar, and fat could override any person's ability to feel that they're satiated. Your body normally wants you to stop eating when satiation happens. And the right combination of salt, sugar, fat says, nope, keep eating. And that creates a dopamine loop. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter. It's a chemical in your brain that it makes you want more and more of the thing that caused that dopamine to release in the first place. And all of a sudden, what do we have is foods, I mean, if you can call this stuff food, foods that get people to eat past the point that is healthy for them, and to do it repeatedly. Now, another thing that they did at the time was label things as heart healthy that were not, like, in order to get a heart healthy labeling, all you needed to do was pay the fee. So you tell me, Wellness Warrior, if you would consider something heart healthy just because I had enough money to pay the fee to get that heart healthy check on it. Again, this is marketing. These are buzzwords. They're there to mask the fact that the foods that they were feeding us were there to fuel this brain hijack that was happening, and we were just not aware that it was happening. Now, obviously, throughout the time that I was eating these foods, trying to help myself, and then sometimes eating stuff like this because nothing was working anyway, throughout the time that I'm eating things that were not accomplishing the goal that I wanted to accomplish, I still had to live my life. And it started at the age of 23. I had joint pain. It started in my knees. Like it was crazy. The pain in my knees, sometimes I would be limping. At the age of 23, I was limping. Eventually it was in my back, in my elbows. I mean, my neck, there wasn't a joint that wasn't hurting. But I was smiling in all the pictures. I'm smiling. I look happy. The reality, you get used to the pain, but it doesn't mean that the pain doesn't slow you down. It doesn't mean that the pain doesn't stop you from doing all the fun things you want to do. It doesn't mean that you aren't a 7 on 10 most of the time, right? I winced when I was an 8 or a 9. Cried when it hit 10. But 7, I learned to be happy with 7. The part that sucks, Wellness Warrior, is that I didn't even know that I was an unpaid agent for the food companies, that I was not only advertising for them whenever I had my can of whatever soda I was drinking or the bag of chips that I was eating, and everyone at the office is seeing me eat these things, or out in the world is seeing me eat these things, but I was eating the stuff that they wanted me to eat that made eating this stuff more of it. Like, so by eating this, by calling this pasta food, I end up eating more of these things, and I don't even know that I'm doing that. I'm working for them. So now I'm actually feeding that stuff to my kids. My daughter ate that stuff, right? And when I met Pat, the boys ate that stuff. And whenever they did good, we gave them cookies and chocolate and ice cream and, right? Hey, good job. Took them to McDonald's or took them to get donuts because they did a good job. I was acting as a proxy for big food because the guidelines told me it was all right. Right at the top of the food pyramid, there's like junk food there. Kids can have that once in a while. It's all right. When I took the junk out of my life, so that would be 8 years ago, when I took the junk out of my life, I needed to see that my body being healthy mattered more than following a stupid food guide, right? Because that food guide had caused inflammation in my body. That's what I learned. That's why I started keto, because I learned that food caused inflammation in my body, that I learned that I was possibly causing heart damage, that I learned that I was possibly causing internal damage because I was eating according to the food guide. For decades, the food industry seemed untouchable because they controlled the very guidelines that we were told to follow. But that era of absolute control is finally hitting a wall, Wellness Warrior. I'm so happy. This is the new set of instructions, right? This new map that big food is terrified of. This is what we're going to be moving forward with, I hope. I hope that this actually makes it as law, or like how, whatever it works for you guys, because Canada follows you guys. Like, we end up doing whatever you guys are doing. And I know this is not popular for me to say, but it's the damn truth. We end up doing what you guys are doing. So RFK Jr., like doing this and disrupting everything, this new way of eating that he's proposing, the Make America Healthy Again proposal, I love it. When he came with this platform, I never believed he was going to do it. I thought he's just trying to get into office and then he'll get in there and not do anything. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy. So, the basic shift that we're looking at: meat, eggs, fish, healthy fats, like the foundation of the new food, the way we're supposed to eat, is correct. Like this new structure actually prioritizes first and foremost satiety, so that's fullness, right? It allows you to eat in a way that your body has always wanted you to eat. And it's proposing that we do this in the face of the fact that it's not a profitable thing for the food companies, right? They want the cheapest possible stuff so that we're not full. They want us hungry all the time. And I want to make sure I say that clearly. It benefits them when we are hungry all the time. That European standard, right? The fact that Fruit Loops don't have the synthetic dyes that US can have. I'm not sure where Canada stands on that, but I was shocked to know. I think we're better about it too. I hope we're better about it. But in the US, they're still using synthetic dyes, whereas in Europe, it's natural fruit juice. The same company. They're making it differently for their North American market than they make it for their European market, because otherwise they couldn't sell it over there. The question is, why not just make it healthy for all of us? But understand this, wellness warrior, that's how much money they are saving by still feeding us the worst version, number one. But then, of course, those dyes, what health problems are they creating for us that just feed us into another system? There's so much. I don't know if I can talk about everything. The administrative war that's going on right now, because to get this into the world, like to make this the new way that we are told to eat moving forward forever, means that RFK and now make sure I get these right, the Health and Human Services and the FDA, so the Food and Drug Administration, have to take on the United States Department of Agriculture. I didn't realize that he would have to take them on. I thought because he's in office, him just saying this is what it is, it would become what it is. But again, going back to this whole stupidity of lobbyists, these people that are paid to block up the ability of government to do what's best for us, doesn't make sense, wellness warrior. Even the people that are taking on this task, how much are you being paid to ensure that the healthy thing isn't the choice? And why would you want that for your family members? Because whatever we put out there, they're going to follow. So I don't understand all of this. I'm not going to pretend to understand all of this. But from what I did get, historically, 90% of the USDA Nutrition Committee members have had direct financial ties to big food or pharma. So the people that are talking about our food and drugs and what should be healthy for us have ties to the people that make the foods and make the drugs. That should never be. So we need to understand that one of the ways that they trap us in eating the wrong stuff, so this is super cheap to buy. I don't have bread here because it would spoil faster than this stuff. And this has been sitting on my desk for I don't even know how long. You know, this stuff, like these things are not. So they tell us that this is affordable, right? I'm going to be able to make a meal and it's going to taste great. I'm feeding my family. You know, you're going to, if you buy rice, you buy vegetables, that is more affordable than buying all this meat that's at the top. Now the meat, fish, poultry, eggs that are at the top of this. I think cheese is on there too, on the top of this food pyramid. And they're saying that normal people will not be able to afford it. So I want to share something with you guys. I decided to grab some data based on what's happening right now. So the United States Department of Agriculture put out some information, And I'm going to just talk about the median. So like these are not the rich people and they're not the like people that have the least amount of money. And the government data says that one adult, and I'm going to use one adult because, and I checked it for what I eat in a 3-week period. So that's what we're going to compare, because I went shopping and I bought some food. And when I came home and did the calculations of how many meals did I actually just buy, because I did not know before I made my purchases how many meals I had bought. So let's compare. One adult, according to them, in the median spends $243.90 for 3 weeks worth of food, which breaks down into $11.61. I want to compare my numbers. Now, I spent on 22 days worth of food, so I had one more day of food, 22 days worth of food, I spent $134.11 on 22 meals, which was meat, poultry, and eggs. I want to pay attention to something, Wellness Warrior, and this is how I eat every single day. That's all I eat, so that's what I bought. So first of all, I eat carnivore. 22 meals. The meals, all the pork meals were 1 pound of food. And the chicken meals were 4 chicken thighs per meal. Since I eat 1 meal a day, that's 22 days, right? It's 22, that's a full 3 weeks and a day of food. It cost me $134.11. Now here's the thing, that's in Canadian dollars. That's not what you're spending on. So if I do that in United States dollars, it's $82.09 or $3.73 US per meal. And Wellness Warrior, I'm going to link to another video that I did where I compared in Canada shopping at the butcher, which is where I've decided to start shopping now, versus shopping at the regular grocery store, because there was a difference in price. I saved money by going. I used to think that if I went to the butcher shop, I would spend more, because I don't know why, but that's what I used to think. And now I realize that if I go to the butcher shop, I spend less. So I'll link that video as well. What's my point? The price of your satiety isn't as expensive as you think. If we do that top layer of RFK's food pyramid, that biggest section, you're going to be eating the most nutrient dense food that you can get for the price of what you're paying, and you're going to be satiated, and best of all, your brain is not hijacked searching for this stuff. Your brain is no longer needing pick-me-up protein in the middle of the day or granola. I used to eat so many granola bars between meals because I was hungry all the time. Understand, Wellness Warrior, that you are spending $243 on 3 weeks worth of food, 350 something I think it was for the month, for one adult to be hungry. When I have supper, I am fine until the next day when it's supper time. You are spending that extra money to be hungry. And there's more to the story, because when I was researching this, they also talked about the fact that not only is your grocery bill higher if you eat standard diet way versus what RFK is proposing, but there's a $4.5 trillion national health care bill for the United States, which proves that cheap food, so that food pyramid, that old cheap food pyramid, is actually the most expensive choice as a country that you guys could be making, right? And as an individual, the most painful choice you can be making because of what it's doing to your health. So those corporate lobbyists, they want you focused on the price of the eggs while they ignore the price of stuff like insulin or whatever other high blood pressure medication or whatever other things you need to take. Now, while they're fighting over the official guidelines, your biology is already keeping score, Wellness Warrior. We have been blindly following their recommendations for so long, and our bodies have been screaming about it. It's time to stop. It's time to. Years of following that old guideline caused me to be in pain all the time. 23 to 46, I was in pain all the time. And 46, I found keto. And I am repairing my body. And even though my body's not completely healed in the sense that I haven't replaced every single cell yet, 3 months into eating keto, my joint pain was gone. Wellness warrior, eating healthy food is what your body wants you to do. And I need you to understand that the new food pyramid is not going to fix everything until you fix what the signals in your head are asking you for. Because this food pyramid can exist. But does it change that if I eat this, my body's going to be once again asking me for more of this and for some of this and for all the stupidities that it's going to ask me for that stuff? Because if I eat it, I will turn back on my craving center and the dopamine will be rushing again, and all the hijacks that they built in will start to show themselves again, because my body is used to reacting that way to those foods. In order for you to get the control back of your biology, you don't have to wait for the government to approve this, right? We don't need to wait for that. RFK has already shown us that this is reality. You must implement this biological, better plan for yourself now, in your own kitchen, today. This is kind of like a biological rebellion that we're doing here. We are teaching our body. We are listening to our body. For years, our body has been aching and paining, trying to get us to see that what we were doing wasn't right. And we were believing the powers that be that was saying, no, eat this way. And RFK finally did it. I'm still shocked. He kept his word. He kept his word. And now we are going to be able to benefit from what he's telling us. We're going to hopefully benefit once the government gets their mind around that we understand the lie now. And the food companies and pharma, we understand the lie now. And they get back on board with feeding us what's healthiest so that we can get back to doing our life. As soon as my body started to feel better, I was back to longboarding. I was back to riding my scooters. I was back to climbing. So we always did tree to tree climbing. I've been doing that since my daughter was 5 years old. But then we now do bouldering as well. As soon as my body felt better, like doing these things on repeat, easier. So I lived almost a full year. It didn't quite make it to the year, but almost a full year of not being able to walk properly. And I'll tell you, Wellness Warrior, that was the best. Like Violet syndrome, which is what happens when my body gets something it's not supposed to have. I feel pain immediately. Me not being able to walk solidified when I figured out that it was the food, that I will eat healthy moving forward. And that's the reason that I'm eating carnivore today, because I found out that the toxins in all the plants, problematic. At this point, I'm just trying to get you to see what RFK is telling you, because that will be enough for most people, that you will feel amazing. I happen to need a little more, and I also want my body to be as pristine as I can get it to be. We all have our decisions to make. But I want to encourage you not to be a prisoner of this system, right? Like, I don't want you limping around like I was limping at 46 years old. And that was my first limp, but that limp, I really couldn't get away from. I want you to have the freedom to ride whatever you want to ride, to do whatever kind of activities you want to do, to stand. For how long have I been standing now? It's about 40 minutes making this video for you. I want you to be able to live your life and do your thing and feel amazing. RFK Jr.'s food pyramid, this thing, is a massive step forward. But there's 3 specific things that he kept in this new food pyramid that are still traps. And for those of us with metabolic damage, those are the kind of things that could really cause us not to get the benefit that we truly could get out of this new knowledge that he's bringing. Is it new knowledge? His reminding people of what we used to do that worked, that we could be doing better. So I'm breaking those down in the next video. Click on the link here, and I'll meet you over there.